Hello folks and welcome then to the post-Italian Grand Prix test where unfortunately the rain has somewhat spoiled the fun here at the Mugello test. Certainly dampened what was going to be a quite interesting day, seeing what all the factories did roll out here at the Mugello test. And unfortunately, with this rain now setting in again, it looks like this midday live might just turn out to be the end of day live, because I think a lot of riders will be packing up and going home for an early bath and an early flight back as well. So Jack Gorst here, and as always, Simon Crafar alongside. And Simon luckily has managed to find out a little bit of info, because unfortunately we've not had a lot of running today at all, but I believe you were chatting to someone from Ducati earlier to find out exactly what they maybe had and what they did do.
Yes, so when we first got here, we had to wait for the track to dry out. Then a few bikes got out there and basically were getting up to speed on, like always, their base bike, what they rode yesterday, so then when they change to something else, they can feel a difference. Yeah. But before they got a chance even to get up to speed properly, and definitely before changing to something new, it started raining again. So really, they only got to ride on their base setting bike. I'm talking everyone. Yeah. Ducati first. So yeah. I went to talk to some team managers to try to find out, because we're not going to get to see most of it getting rolled out in pit lane. So I went to speak to Davide Tardozzi, if you're asking about Ducati. He wouldn't tell me what they've got, but he said, we have some new parts here. We aim to test them, but there is no point testing them in the wet. They have to be tested in the dry. So I know that wasn't much info, but they do have new things. So then I wandered down to who's
Aprilia?
Aprilia. That was quite an interesting one, because Bonoro was always really straight up with me, open. And he said, look, we want to fix our weakness in the race yesterday, which was the drive coming onto the main straight, which made it too hard for Maverick to pass anyone, or people on the Aprilia to pass anyone. So they said it's electronics and chassis adjustments to get the run onto the straight, with grip, and you not kill the soft tyre, which is why Maverick ran the medium. And he said, so we need that to go longer. So we've got ideas to try that. And he said, then we have new aero, which you will see roll out. We believe it's good. And our aim is to homologate it for all the Aprilia's second half of the season.
Oh, okay.
And which we haven't got to see yet because of the rain. Then what I did notice on the Aprilia's, one of Mavericks and one of Leish's, the start device, the new one that I first saw in Jerez. That was on one of each bike. So I believe that they're close now, and we will probably see it at the race at Assen. That's all I've got on Aprilia.
Well, let's see exactly what. If they do get some more running, I mean, this rain now, as you can see behind us, it's really kind of set in. It's not just a single cloud, it's blanketed the circuit. And interesting about Maverick yesterday, and Leish also, saying that soft rear tyre, just not even an option for them. And it's kind of an interesting one, because we know that Aprilia last year had really good rear grip, and they could use the soft tyre quite well. Obviously, the bike has changed a fair bit this year, changed the balance of it, and it was interesting hearing Paolo and also Massimo saying that, okay, maybe to get a better average performance across all the circuits, they have to lose maybe one of their best strengths. But it's a strange thing, that, because it kind of makes you think, well, why would you want to get rid of it? But if it means that your average is better, then that should be better in the long run.
Well, Leish put it another way, and he's saying at the stop-start circuits with the new aero and the new bike, the bike is better, but we've lost something, meaning Aprilia have lost something in the fast-flowing ones. We need to find it again, because they are coming up, Silverstone, Assen, etc.
Let's talk about Yamaha then, because as we know, this weekend was a real up and down one for Yamaha. We saw Alex go very well. They were saying that the new aero here at the test that they tried was about 0.2 quicker a lap compared to what they had. And we definitely saw an increase in one lap pace, but then in the races, it just seemed to fall apart. A bit of a strange one. I believe you were chatting to someone this morning.
Yes.
Do you know anything about why they struggled, maybe?
I put a few interviews together, meaning chats I had with people together, and riders' comments. And what I believe happened on the weekend is, yes, they were faster, but always in cooler conditions, morning time. And then as soon as it got hot, putting their puzzle together, they started pushing the front. And meaning And that's a really hard one to figure out. They're trying to find out why. And they said today they're working on, someone mentioned that area, but also agility and also new parts that they can't tell me about. That was Mayo Marigali, meaning something big.
Big.
I'm guessing engine, maybe chassis stuff, who knows. The Yamaha started the day in the damp working on electronic settings because their big push this year, right from the start, has been to improve electronics because they believe they're a year or two behind, on the best manufacturers with electronics. Also, I heard, not just from the Yamaha guys, Mugello is a really physical circuit, always has been. I remember
all the riders yesterday were saying they were exhausted.
When I first saw the podium, when I first started this job, Joe Anzako was sitting down in Parc Fermé. This is before the sprint, absolutely exhausted. And I spoke to him later in that year and he said it's just the most physical track with fast change of directions where the gyroscopic effect of the engine parts, the wheels, and now the aero make it real heavy. And the reason for bringing that up is I heard that many different manufacturers had this problem, like riders exhausted at the end of yesterday, and Yamaha was one of them while we were on Yamaha.
I mean, Fabio Di Gianantonio came into the set yesterday, and I said to him, good race today, well done. Obviously came through, because I think he made up 7 positions in the race, and he said, yeah, great race, but I really want to go home to bed because I'm so tired now. And then I think even Aleix said in an interview or in one of the debriefs with the journalists that Mugello now with these bikes is like almost on the limit of what the human body can handle.
Totally agree.
I mean, we see them absolutely exhausted.
Which is why I think a lot of the manufacturers are working on that agility, trying to keep the advantages of the aero, but lighten the machine up, so the rider can keep going, because that's the limiting factor at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's talk about a little bit of what we have seen. There was, of course, one new-ish part. I mean, it was on the KTM side with actually on the gas machine on Pedro Acosta's, and it's some new aero. But we did see it in the Jerez test, but here we finally got a proper good look at it.
Yeah.
What do you make of it? Because it's quite an interesting piece.
It really is. I hope there's some pictures. I imagine you've taken.
There are some on the MotoGP Tech group, so go on Facebook and you'll find it.
Because it's hard to describe, isn't it? It's when it's leaned over, it's like funneling air through
everywhere.
A little channel the whole way from just below the air intake all the way to the belly pan, isn't it? It must really make some ground effects, and it hasn't got the scoop, ground effects type scoop on the... Anyway, very different, but not only that, the air intake's quite different. Mm-hmm. The front wing air intake hole, and I had a good look up inside there, and they've got a divider in there to guide the air in the right places. So pretty much all of that fairing new.
Well,
which he didn't get to test because it started raining.
Exactly. Just as about to say, it's such a shame that the rain has come down, because for the likes of KTM and Aprilia, of course, losing this day today is a real big loss. They don't have unlimited test days like Honda and Yamaha, and we saw just how strong Ducati were here this weekend. So for KTM and Aprilia, a real valuable test day that's kind of in the bin.
Very good point, and Mayo Marigali brought it up because he's on the other side and said, this is a real shame. I don't know if it's going to, we're going to get any dry laps because it's meant to rain again. They're looking at satellites. But he said our advantage, meaning the concessions, is we have the Valencia test coming up to try everything there.
Well, hopefully we do have the Valencia test that's a little bit more dry than what we've seen here. I think the last thing that I saw down in pit lane was Fabio just had an extra kind of seat hump on the back. Maybe just pitching him forward. Who's that that's going out? Just see if we can catch that one as they go out pit lane. That one of the Yamahas, maybe? Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Sounds like Yamaha.
So maybe Alex or Fabio just gone back out for some extra wet testing. But the only thing that I saw on Fabio's was just that seat hump. Maybe just trying to pitch him forward more to get it to turn better or something.
Yeah, or make it less physical. Or, they also had the old exhaust on one bike. The third bike that was on Fabio's side, the old exhaust. I believe, because they can, they've got another engine upgrade.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that, but looking at that bike with a different short exhaust on again, I think they want to know if it is faster down the straight or slower than the long exhaust. Mm-hmm. But I'm convinced that their engineer, Bartolini, will have, something new engine-wise here because they're allowed to.
Yeah, let's hope they do. And we know that Honda have something new on the engine here this weekend. It's not a big change. It's not a change to the firing order as such.
No,
but
because we can hear the Honda sound the same.
yeah, it does have a little bit of a different tone with those new exhausts, actually. It sounds a little bit nicer. But Mir was saying hopefully they were going to try the new engine stuff today, but then by July-ish, they were hoping for a full new engine. Okay. So whether that does materialize and comes around in July and they test it in a private test, we'll see. But of course, for Honda, another weekend where it was kind of down in the doldrums, and we saw two of them crash out again yesterday. You have to wonder where can they go from here in terms of their development.
Just to summarize, I think the machines with the concessions, manufacturers with the concessions is Yamaha and Honda, and really it's becoming clear, we've mentioned this a couple of times, that Yamaha are making some headway.
Yeah.
Engine speed, top speed was good here.
Really good.
Aero is better. It's not enough, but it's a start. Fabio's, both riders are positive. We're heading in the right direction. We've found a direction. It's not the same for Honda at the moment. I don't think. It feels like, they've improved a little bit with the aero, but we're not seeing it on lap time wise. They need some big steps forward. And without the steps, it makes it very hard to secure riders that they need.
Yeah. 2
riders to come back, And I genuinely hope in this next couple of months that they can find something and make a step forward.
Yeah, I think we all do. We all want to see Honda back competitive again in MotoGP. But from us here at the Midday Live of the Mugello test, I think that's going to just about do it. Hopefully we see a little bit more running. Alex or Fabio, one of the Yamahas at least, is out there for now. But I think a lot of riders, it could be a good night and we'll see you later. But anyway, that's going to do it from us. We'll see you back on track in Assen in 3 weeks' time. Going to be a cracker at the Dutch TT. Ciao for now.